Catrell, and welcome to First Love Yourself, where love, life, and Christ combine. I am so grateful to have you here on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment with me. In today's video, we're going to talk about no cap, or we're not going to put any limits on ourselves, on expanding, on growing, on becoming a better person. But before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more uplifting and empowering content like this. So get comfortable because we are about to get into it. Let's go. Okay. So earlier today, I'm listening to a podcast and a few sermons, and I'm learning different things about growing, about expanding, about learning more about self-development, emotional intelligence, and just being able to be an all-around better person. And so I came up with this acronym that I think will really help people in the future to expand, to level up, to do better in life, and to really stop putting a cap on yourself, to really be able to go above and beyond what you think that you can expect for your life. And so I called it No Cap, and CAP stands for candor, acknowledgement, and positivity. So candor meaning not being double-minded, letting your no be no and your yes be yes. And it's an open honesty that you'll have with yourself. So when you are really honest with the things that you want in life, like not just what you think you want, like you might, this is going to be sounding so corny, but an example is you meet a guy and you're like, oh, the guy says he doesn't want to get married. And you're like, oh, that's no big deal. Knowing that you want to get married, like be honest with yourself. If you know that's something that you want, don't sit there and just try to pretend like you're going to change somebody's mind. Know that, let the no be no and the yes be yes. Really go for the things that you want in life. Be honest with yourself. If you're saying that you don't want to be with this company forever, then do things to work towards your goals so that you can work in your business instead of working for a company. If you're saying that you want to have people in your life who really do build you up instead of tear you down, stop being around people who are tearing down your self-esteem, that are making you feel like crap. You really got to start thinking of what you want your future to look like. And the best way to have a better future is to be honest with yourself and saying, okay, I really do want blah. I really do want to be married. I really do want to have a successful business. I really do want to have family members and friends in my life that really support my dreams and really are there for me, that will give me like the hard truth, but also not be so critical that they're shooting down my dreams. They're really being honest with me about where they see this thing going, and even if they can't see the vision that God's given me, they're still supportive in that process. So when I'm doing things in life, that also means don't be friends with that guy that you know you're not interested in and then string him along for no reason. Like you really got to be honest with yourself and the person, any of the people in your life, letting them know how you really truly feel about them being a part of your life. If they're your friend, let them be your friend. Like really be honest with them when they're hurting you, when it's something that you don't agree with, when it's something that doesn't sit right with you and your spirit. You got to just be honest and say in the most polite way possible. You don't have to be like, you didn't have to do this. You could just say, hey, when you said this, it really hurt my feelings. And if they're a real friend, they will really acknowledge the fact that you feel that way, and they won't try to hurt you intentionally. They'll really be trying to see better ways of communicating in the future so that they can make sure that they're not just stomping all over your heart. They're not stomping all over the things that really matter to you. They're not really trying to make you feel badly about the way that you feel about something, because one thing that I learned in this process is sometimes what doesn't seem like a big deal to us is a huge deal to other people. Like, let's say somebody said a dark skin joke or something like that to me. I don't care about that now, right? But maybe when I was in middle school, I probably would have cared. But let's say somebody said something like, oh, you're so dark. Oh my gosh, right? And I got like all offended because one of my friends made a dark skin joke or something. And they're like, it's not that serious. It's one joke. But little do they know it was years upon a decade of jokes that have piled and compiled on each other to make me feel this way, right? And so I think we really have to be cognizant, and we have to be conscious of the decisions that we're making in life, and really be aware of how we're treating other people. So if something hurts somebody's feelings, you might not understand, but if they are really hurt, if something really matters to them and you care about that person, then you should take the time to try to figure out what's going on with that person. Don't just accept, oh, well, they're just a bad person. If this person is my friend and I know they don't normally act like that, I usually go out of my way to try to figure out what's going on with my friend. That's my friends. Random people, sometimes I do that with random people, but I'm not just gonna be somebody's doormat. Like, you might get one pass. to have a bad day and say some rude things, but that's gonna be it. And I say that, and hopefully I don't go back on my word, because sometimes life happens and there's unforeseen circumstances, or there's caveats and nuances to it, to where somebody had a bad day one week, and then maybe the next couple months, 6 years or something later, they had a bad day, and you just have to keep on telling people what it is, or you have to keep on excusing yourself from the situation, or making space so that you can make sure that you're healthy, or whatever else you got to do, right? And so I think it's really important for us to really be honest with ourselves, having candor, and really being just open and honest, having a frankness about what we're doing in our lives, so that we don't put a cap on our abilities. The second thing is acknowledgement, being real and forgiving. So this looks like accepting the truth. So now that you've been honest with yourself, accept the fact that you might not be able to be with this guy that you thought was so cute and all the things that you thought you wanted, but y'all aren't even on the same page. Y'all not even on the same level. And by levels, I don't mean that you're a millionaire and they're 100,000 there. I mean that you might want one thing and they want something totally different, and you guys just aren't grace for each other. That's completely fine. That's real life. Like, it happens every day. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong with you. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with that person. Yes, we're flawed individuals, but I don't mean like, it's not like a pointing the finger thing, like, oh, you did all of these things wrong. It's more like okay, this is the truth. So now that I know what the truth is, I have to be honest with myself and take accountability and acknowledge the fact that this is how I feel. And if I want this type of future, this is the type of decision I have to make. I can't just stick and stagnant in this way in life and saying that I'm just going to settle for these things. You have to really go for the things that you want and acknowledge your feelings. Your feelings are relevant. So don't feel like you have to be like, well, I'm just going to ignore my feelings just to make other people happy. No, you have to make sure that you are loving on yourself, that you are really being honest and acknowledging the fact that, hey, this is the truth. And also, I want to be a better person. This is what I'm going to do to be better. I'm going to forgive myself. That's another thing. Sometimes we get so hard on ourselves that we just feel like we got to take all the responsibility and never give ourselves grace for any of the decisions that we've made in the past. You have to give grace to yourself and the other person. That's something that they talked about in the podcast earlier today. The doctor was saying that a lot of people in relationships do not give each other grace or themselves grace. And I think that's 100% true, because sometimes you be in it and you just forget all about grace. But I think it is super important to be able to say that this person is a human being, they're not God. It's important to say that you're not God either. Like, you're going to be a flawed individual who makes mistakes all the time, and you just have to roll with it, like tuck and roll, like my uncle says. You got to get back up and keep trucking. You got to say, all right, I made these mistakes. I learned this from these mistakes, and I'm going to keep moving in my life, because I know I'm going to become a better individual for it. You can't just harp on things in the past and then just say that you're just always going to be like this. You're always never going to be ready for a relationship. You're always not going to be healed. You are going to heal in different ways. You are going to get better. You're going to do better in life because you learn from past experiences. It does not have to go the way that you want it to go. It can go the way that God intended for it to go. You are not in control of anything. We are not in control of anything. It's all God's doing. And so when God is saying this is going to be the thing that your life is going to be like, it is what it is. Like, and I'm not saying it in like your feelings are irrelevant. I'm saying it in like you don't have to blame yourself and then beat up on yourself and then guilt and shame yourself into feeling like crap, and then not being open to the opportunities that God's trying to bless you with. When new men, when new relationships, when new opportunities come into your life, you have to be ready and knowing that, okay, I did all these things wrong, but I'm not always going to be that person. I'm not always going to make that same mistake. And even if you do make a similar mistake, give yourself grace. Like, we be so hard on ourselves. Like, we really got to get it all. We got to have all the answers and be 100% perfect. No, we don't. We just have to be willing to be better. And as long as you're willing to be better, you're doing all right. It doesn't matter what decision you made wrong. It doesn't matter what mistakes you made in life. God's grace and mercy is sufficient. Always remember that. Never feel like you got to be this perfect individual, because I had to say this, and hopefully I don't offend other people that are on social media. But listen, I know we see a lot of women on social media that will say, oh yeah, I do this in relationships and I'm this way with people, and I always, and they make it seem like they're so perfect. Like, they don't ever make a mistake in their lives. They always have standards. They always have boundaries. They never fall for the okey doke. These men got all this game out here, or women got all this game out here, and there'll be men on podcasts or women on podcasts that talk about, or in social media in general, or in life. They'll be like, if I was you, I would have done this. You don't know what you would do in that person's situation. And we are all flawed individuals. So there's no way that you 100% caught every game. There's no way you 100% didn't fall for the okey doke in one of your situations in your entire life. There's no way that the person that you're with or someone else in life didn't pull one over on you because you were too busy living life to really see whatever was going on or whatever else. And I don't mean it's got to be some kind of big offense. It could be like a little white lie or something. You're not going to catch everything. You're not God. You're not some human lie detector. I know there's that person that's out there known as the human lie detector. I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying there's always going to be something. So don't feel like just because everyone else that you see around you says they have all the answers and they make 100% perfect decisions every single day means that you making one mistake to stay a little longer in a relationship than you should have, to put up with things that most women say they would never put up with, to fall for the okey doke in one situation, to do this wrong, to do that wrong, to make these mistakes or missteps in life means that you can't be better in the future. Always know that those mistakes they happen to teach you a lesson so that you can become a better person. You're learning things that that person never will learn because they feel like they're perfect. So, and I'm not getting on the perfect people. If that's what you are, that's amazing. But I never want to be perfect. I always want to be willing to learn, and I always want to be developing and becoming a better person from my mistakes, from my missteps, from the lessons that I learned in life, from things that were supposed to be lost but really are lessons for me. That's what I want to do in life. I'm not trying to be sitting over here on some high horse like I make all the best decisions in life always, because I don't. I just am willing to be a better person always. So no matter what kind of decisions I make, no matter what mistakes, no matter what happens in my life, I'm always going to try to be better because I know that's the best that I can do. If I missed something in the past, if I did something wrong, if I made a bad decision, I acknowledge that I made a bad decision and I choose to do better in the future. That's really all I can do. I can't just sit there and say, well, now that I made this mistake, I'll never be in a relationship. Like, no, I could be in a relationship in the future if God graced me for that relationship. It's not that because I messed up in one relationship, I'll never be in a relationship. It's not that because I chose, you know, selfishly in one marriage, that I'm not going to allow God to choose a person for me next. Like, that's just one chapter, one book in my entire life. That is not my whole life. And that's just one decision in your life. That's not your whole life. So give yourself some grace. You acknowledge the fact that you messed up. You know that you didn't do whatever it was the right way. It doesn't matter how foolish other people say that you look because you stayed in this relationship. I've been there. I was there a long time ago because I didn't know that there was anything better in the world. I thought everybody was supposed to be miserable. And I know that sounds so horrible, but I really had this cynical mindset of like just worst case scenario for real. And I was one of the best cynics that was probably out here in these streets. and, and I learned real quick that pessimism is not the way to go. It's better to be optimistic than to be pessimistic. And so as I'm learning through my life, I understand that if you were the person that stayed too long, it's okay. Like, I'm no judgment on this channel at all. I don't have any right to judge anybody. I'm not a judge or jury. I'm just a person making an observation and trying to make sure that I do better, and hopefully being transparent, other people will want to be better as well. So while you're going through this journey, I mean, close your ears to all the nonsense that people are telling you about. Oh, well, if I was you, I would have done this. If I was you, I would do that. Oh, you don't need to do this in life. And people talking to you like you're a fool, or like you're not who God says that you are. You are more than a conqueror. You are the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath. You are that person. You got to know who you are. That mistake does not define you. That is just a page, a sentence in your entire book of life. Let that mistake be a mistake and a lesson so that you can learn from it, so that you can have the relationship that God always intended you to in your life. You don't have to worry about the things that you've done in the past. Forgive yourself. And then if another person forgives you or not, that's their choice. It's not up to you to change someone into something that you want them to be. It's up to them to be who they're supposed to be. And it's up to you to make sure that you're a better person. That's it. The last thing is P, positivity. You know, that again with that optimism versus pessimism, right? Sorry. I have really bad allergies right now. I don't know what's going on with this season, but these allergies be hitting right now. Like it's a whole mess. Ever since the one warm day, it's been like crazy. And first I had a whole like sinus headache and oh my tension headache. It's just been woo. I got that Claritin on standby though. Sorry, I'm not trying to talk about brand names, but you know if you want to sponsor me, thank you. But anyways, back to the video. Positivity is so important because whatever comes out of the mouth comes from the heart, and it is what defiles a man and dishonors him. That's what Matthew 15:18 says. Also, the power of life and death comes from the tongue. So when you are speaking like negativity over yourself, you are pretty much nipping things in the bud. When you pray to God and say, God, bring me my kingdom spouse, and then you turn right around and say all men are blah, you just negated the whole statement. You just said, God, I prayed for this, but I don't really want this. You know what I'm saying? When you praying, God, I just want to be a billionaire so I can bless and serve other people and then just keep spreading your wisdom. And then you say, ain't nobody in my family ever been a billionaire or a millionaire. We ain't never had nothing. You just negated your blessing. You was going to be the first billionaire in the family and you just ruined it. Like, you got to really stop talking down about yourself and about the things that you want in life, and you really got to go for it. Don't get in your own way. You got to stop talking all this negativity as if even as a joke. Don't even joke like that. It ain't even funny. You know how people used to joan on each other back in the day? I don't know if you know that, but there used to be like this beef thing. There used to be like this joning thing that people would do back and forth, talk about you so short, blah, 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 right? You ain't never gone blah, blah, blah. And we thought it was all funny, right? It's all funny. Everybody laughing, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, this person got a whole insecurity, feeling like they so short, ain't nobody gonna love them. But but I digress. Anyways, so the main purpose is, even as a joke, don't talk about yourself like that. Don't talk about how ain't nobody else gonna want you except for the one woman that you were with before that you were in love with, but you messed the whole situation up with. Because you don't know what's gonna happen in that woman's life. She might give you another chance. I'm talking about other women. And also, when you are going through life, don't put yourself down like that. Like, you got to know that you are a kind, patient, intelligent, wise man or woman, and you know exactly what it is that you bring to the table. You know who you are. You know that you're really that person. So don't try to sell yourself short and acting like you don't deserve happiness. You don't deserve to be with someone who will really treat you the right way. That you don't deserve to be really having the things that God really graced for your life, because you really are worthy of all the blessings. Like, God really has a lot of grace and mercy for us, and we don't have that same grace and mercy for ourselves. We don't have the ability most of the times to say, okay, well, I messed up, but I still want to be happy. I still want to have a successful business. I still want to be a billionaire. I still want to do all of these things that my heart desires, and you can still do those things. We got to stop beating ourselves up for past decisions that we made. We've got to stop acting like it will never ever happen, because if you keep thinking it'll never ever happen, it will never ever happen. We really got to change and flip the script. Instead of saying it never will happen, be like, I'm so grateful that I'm on a journey to getting this thing that I prayed for, because it might not be there yet, but it's on the way. You got to say, I'm so happy and grateful that all these other relationships didn't work out, because it's teaching me something so that I can get to my kingdom spouse. You got to say, I'm so happy and grateful that God got rid of the old friends, the people that were frenemies, because it's teaching me what I don't want to be as a friend, so that I could be a better friend to other people. You got to really say that this house might be too small, but I'm so happy and grateful that I got to see the confinement of being in a small space so that I can really appreciate being in a bigger place soon. You got to really start speaking life into the things that you want in life, like you really, really want it. Like, how bad do you want this? You got to really know that you want this and speak positivity over it, so that the power of the tongue can be speaking life, not death, into the things that you want in life. You got to go for it. Like, don't give up on yourself. I know the world wants to tell you to give up. I know the world wants to tell you you ain't nothing. I know the world wants to tell you that because you made a mistake, you're just always gonna be the problem, and ain't nobody else ever gonna want you or whatever, or treat you the way that this person treated you. But there will be somebody who will treat you the way that you're supposed to be treated, because that's the way it is. Like, as long as you're believing, as long as you know your worth, as long as you really love yourself, you will get all of the things that you prayed for. Don't ever sell yourself short in thinking that you need to settle for anything in life, because if you don't stand for something, standing flat-footed in faith, standing firm in your ability and your the things that you want, your boundaries, your standards, actually really knowing that you won't compromise your integrity for anything else. And again, I repeat, it does not matter if you ever compromise who you were in the past. It does not matter if you ever bent a standard in the past. Today is a brand new day. It's a brand new day. Like, I got that from Sister Act. But anyways, it's a brand new day. And today is the day that you start believing in yourself. Today is the day that you start having standards and boundaries. Today is the day that you start being consistent. Today is the day that you give yourself grace for all of the mistakes that you've made in the past. Today is the day that you forgive yourself for not seeing things that you thought that you should have seen, but you couldn't have seen it because you don't know what you know now. Stop beating yourself up for making decisions in your life that you didn't know better at the time, but now that you know better, do better, like Maya Angelou said. You really have to go for what it is that you want in life. No cap. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good, amazing Tuesday. Bye.